All right, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time it is, when you hear this message, I pray that you're poised to receive, to accept, and to respond to words of wisdom. Ashe. In our tradition, initiation is the pinnacle, it's the apex of the practice. And it's through initiation that we become inducted into the mysteries of the various orisha. You gain access to the mysteries of Shanko, or Batala, or Romila, or Shun, etc. through initiation. It's the only way it happens, right? And one of the key elements or features of the initiatory process is ritual isolation. No initiation is complete without isolation. And so what happens when you are ritually isolated? Well, the initiatory process, first of all, like all of our ceremonies, are understood as journeys, especially initiation though. It is a journey. And this journey reenacts different episodes in the life of the divinity, in the life of Oromila, for example. We reenact all these different episodes, what Oromila went through. And it's intended to be a concentration of that experience, right? The ritual brings the energy of that experience into focus, into a concentrated way, and so that the initiate internalizes that particular energy, right? But as you progress and you evolve, you come to understand that the ritual and the ceremony are not intended to be finite experiences. They're intended to activate those experiences that you're going to carry out over and over and over again. So isolation is not just something that you experience during initiation. Isolation is a layer of your practice. As Awo, you function and operate and live at a certain level of isolation. It's always present. You are always isolated. Because as Awo, a keeper, as Babalawo, as the keeper of the mystery is unknown. So by virtue of that, you need to be alone within yourself and that mystery. Likewise, Awo is mystery, is secret. So when you sit down with me, part of the reason why you do sit down with me with confidence and certainty is because you know that Oromila is going to reveal your secret to me. Oromila is going to tell me things about you that you haven't told me. But I am not going to tell your secret to somebody else. Your secret is safe with me because I am a keeper of the secrets. So I don't tell anybody's business because that is what makes me Awo. Right? Therein is a built-in institutionalized practice of isolation. It reminds me of a verse of Ifa that tells us of the time that Orumila sighed with exasperation because he had no one with whom to contemplate the beginning and the end of all things. Ogun saw Orumila sitting in isolation, and he said, Orumila, don't overthink it. What's the matter? What's on your mind? Orumila said, Ogun, you wouldn't understand. Ogun said, I would understand. Try me. What's the matter? He said, well, I just don't have anybody to contemplate the beginning and the end of all things with me. Ogun said, that's your problem? No problem at all. I know the beginning and the end of all things. Orumila says, you do? He said, yeah, I do. He said, great. Ogun, where are you going? Ogun said, well, I'm about to go and wage war. but I need to go to the market and pick up some weapons. I'm going to get some shields. I'm going to get some swords. I'm going to get some machetes. Oh, okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. Listen, before you go, please go into my patio and bring me my game of Ayo. Ayo is what we call Mancala. Bring that to me. Ogun goes and immediately he comes back, his eyes all wide with excitement. He says, "Oh, Romila, I can't believe what I saw." Oromi said, "What is it?" He said, "I saw everything that I was looking for in the market." He says, "Really?" He said, "You need all those things?" He said, "Yes." "Well, Ogun, I don't have any use for them." "You can take them all with you. First, just play a game of Ayo with me." They sat down. Ogun threw the game. It was over within 5 minutes. He didn't even try to win. He rushed back to the patio. He couldn't believe his eyes. He comes back to Oromila again. He says, "Oromila, what's going on?" He said, "What's the matter, Ogun?" He said, "All of the weapons that you showed me before, they were so rusty that they dissolved to the disintegrated to the touch. I touched them and they just turned to dust. What's that?" Oromila smiled. He says, "Ogun, I thought you said you knew the beginning and the end of all things." Ogun paused. He says, "Yes. You're right, Oromila. Never mind what I said. Go back to your thinking." Shango, Batala, Ashun, one by one, all of the divinities, they saw Oromila in the same condition. One by one, they claimed to know the beginning and the end of all things. One by one, Oromila demonstrated to them that they did not know the beginning and the end of all things. And one by one, they all said, "Oromila, I'll stay in my lane. You go back to your thinking." And so it is that as our Oromila, we are called to not only practice ritual isolation, but to live with a degree of isolation. It is integral to our function. If you can't internalize it as a virtue, then it's better that you try something different. Because our Oromila is, by definition, functioning at a level of isolation. But it is not limited to us. Okay? I'm also reminded of a time when I was working with men who had been incarcerated, and they were now dedicated to, breaking the cycle of recidivism, wherein, there's a high percentage of people who go in and out. It's like a revolving door. Once a person gets institutionalized, they keep going back to jail, right? So these guys who have been in jail were now helping to break that cycle, and they brought me in to help provide some teachings of Orisha and Ifa to help them with their work. And some of these men had been in solitary confinement for over a decade. And so I was blessed to be able to talk to them about what it's like to be in solitary for so long. And one by one, they all affirm the same thing, which is there comes a point on this journey of solitary wherein you could either choose the path of insanity, or you can choose the path of elevation and transformation. And obviously, all these guys had chosen the path of elevation. And in the process, what you discover is yourself, ultimately. You're forced to face your shadow. You're forced to face your falsehood. You're forced to face your incongruencies, all your internal conflicts. You're forced to come face to face and realize, hey, this is where the real you ends. The real me ends here, and the mask starts there. The persona that I'm projecting out into the world, I know what it is. And I'm purposeful and deliberate about making the distinction between who I am and what I project. All of these things are what you have to realize in the process of being isolated, right? Not being isolated one day, not being isolated 1 month, not being isolated for a year. It's that learning the pathways into yourself that is the value of isolation. And so, to the degree that you have been isolated, or to the degree that you are presently operating and living in isolation, there's a golden opportunity for you to discover who you really and truly are, and to hold on to that pathway, to not necessarily hold on to who you see in the mirror, right? Because you're going to change and evolve, but to really understand all the steps that go from you being on the periphery of your own self-awareness and then being able to walk into the very core of your self-awareness. Because once you get to the core of your self-awareness, you're still going to come to this superpower, which is your ability to choose. You are the one who chooses. And when you're in isolation, you get this golden opportunity to really see all your options, all the things that you have chosen in the past. And you get to see yourself making this selection, to choose this feeling, making that selection, to choose that thought, making this selection, to choose this behavior, to choose this habit, to choose this person, to choose this art, to choose that science. Whatever it is that you've chosen over the course of your life, the real you is the chooser. And it's only in isolation that you get to see yourself as the chooser, to come in contact with your motivation for choosing one thing or another, for rejecting one thing or another. And so this is a lesson that I want to share with all of the leaders. If you are someone who wants to really and truly improve the world through positive influence, and you know that you've got to get into the depths of who you are in order to embody that and to project that and master that in the process of helping to bring about the good condition for yourself and those who you're destined to serve, then I want you to find out how Oloye Obafemi Origuwa and the Orisha Lifestyle Academy can help you take your practice and your life to the highest level possible. Visit me at obafemio.com or orishalifestyle.com. And let's start working together to help you live the medicine that will heal your life and heal the lives of those who you are destined to serve. I look forward to working with you. Bye for now. Odabo.